I'm not currently living a life that I want to escape from. So I'm not thinking like, when's this shit gonna be over? You know what I mean? Like, that's not like thought going through my head. I went through this exercise, you probably heard of it, like Ikigai, where you get very clear on like your purpose, how to show up in the world, so on and so forth. And I landed on speaking and writing. That's all I want to do is speak and write.
This conversation explores the deeper motivations driving successful creators beyond monetizing and follower counts. Whether you're questioning your path as a creator or seeking to align your business with your values, this conversation offers valuable perspective on creating a life that you don't want to escape from. This is part of a 3-part series, so if you haven't seen the first one, it's linked here and we'll drop it in the description as well. Let's dive in, and I hope you enjoy the conversation.
We still haven't seen the elderly creator.
Right.
Like even Casey Neistat is still young enough to look great on camera. Is there an end game? Do you think about or even see what the later part of your life is? Like you can write and speak, but also when you have to be on camera, and the expectation at the moment is that like I haven't seen that old creator doing the kind of value forward stuff you're doing.
Entertainment creators and performative creators, like that can be very exhausting, and you find yourself maybe like, man, I can't keep doing this anymore. But when you think about like the knowledge creators, the commentary creators, like what greater thing in life than teaching, right? And being able to spread wisdom and connecting with others. And I find that like I want to be a creator for the rest of my life. You know, I want to be 85 talking and relating to people that maybe are younger or in my age realm. So from an end game standpoint, like I want to maintain the audience and community that I'm building so that I'm able to have like continued impact, but just continue to have other things that perhaps I'm building on the side, and like Creator Economy NYC or just my personal, my character brand in a sense is growing with me and people are following along for the journey. So I just think that that's an interesting element that when we do what we do, it's like, are we going to get tired of like sharing our journey and connecting with people?
I guess to be specific, not are you going to get tired, but will your business inherently have to change when you look different, are different?
But I'll say a few things because I'm like the oldest person here. So like I'm close to 50, you know what I mean? So it's like on my end.
Yeah, you look that.
Drink a lot of
That made
water.
me feel terrible about myself.
You think I drop my kids off, I worked out in the morning, and I'm like, shit, man. I ran late here.
I mean, I was late too. But so the way I think about it is this, right? So if you're a subject matter expert and that is your brand, you could be in trouble as you get older because sometimes people are like, all right, man, I want something new and fresh, so on and so forth, right? But I think what some of us are doing is we're building a lifestyle brand. And the benefit of having a lifestyle brand is you can change your topic too. Before you used to be the guy about how to get a job. Now you're like, hey, productivity, whatever it is. And to your earlier point, though, I have seen some older creators and they're just staying in their lane. I met this woman who had a course about how to be a good grandparent, to get invited to hang out with your grandkids more often, right? Stop ignoring, knowing your kids, so on and so forth. So I saw that. Another woman I know on Teachable, she built this course about how to build an urban chicken coop. And that thing sold like nuts because how many other people have a course on how to build an urban chicken coop, right? So it's like, that was her lifestyle though. She's like, I've been raising chickens forever, so I just want to make a course about it. So I think you have to realize when it's time to evolve. Like if you're like 60 years old trying to dance on TikTok and it's not going too well, like, hey, maybe do something else, go to like Reddit or something. I don't know, like something different. But there's a space for it. I think there's where you run into trouble is when you're trying to act younger than you are and you got the hat on backwards and you still got the earrings in. It's like, bro, like you're old, just admit it. Like everyone's okay with it.
You got to evolve. The panel, I hosted a panel on personal branding. We discussed this, that like you want to grow with your audience or your audience is going to grow with you. And people will stick, whether you change your content, like, if I jumped from creator stuff, startup stuff to something completely different, well, my hope is that people have resonated with Brett and Brett's character and story, that they'll still follow along. Sure, some people may trickle off, but like there's still 1,000 true fans that might be like, no, I love listening to Brett. I love seeing his evolution. I'm evolving with him as well.
I think this will by far be one of the most egotistical things, but I think the journey of a creator is also the journey of like a famous musical act, right? Whereas like if you look at the albums of someone who has been fortunate enough to be in the public eye for 10, 15, 20 years, they are taking you through, or a great comedian, they're taking you through the phases and story beats of their own life, right? Someone that I've an immense amount of respect for that I was able to meet last week, Chris Do, huge creator on YouTube and other channels, right? He has this sort of now famous quote from a past interview he did where it's like, if you want to advance as a creator, you should go to therapy. Because I feel like if you don't know who you are and sort of what you're dealing with, it's like you talk about resilience, right? I mean, I've got some stuff there where it's like some of my biggest, most important pieces of content that I feel really proud about making have been times, and I've been really vulnerable about my journey as a father, or my journey in my marriage, or my journey throughout my career and things that have happened. And so I think if you're taking someone on that journey, if Brett decides to raise VC and start some other business, or he goes in some other direction, you just got to make sure that the audience feels they're being brought on the journey with you, and it makes sense based on who you are, right? I think there are no wrong moves. The only wrong move is like, does that make sense based on who you are? Like, where is this coming from, right?
When you pivot as a creator, it's scary. And that's why people get trapped in roles they no longer want to serve, right? They suffer identity foreclosure, right? I was the guy who talked about this. What happens if I talk about that? So on and so forth.
Foreclosure.
But on my end, cool word, right? On my end, I got like sick of being the guy who only talked about digital marketing. That's what I did during corporate. And at one point, I just emailed my audience and I was like, hey, look, please unsubscribe. I appreciate your support, over the years, but going forward, here's what I'll be talking about. If you don't want to go with me on this journey, just hit the unsubscribe button. If not, then hey, I'm glad to have you. That email got the lowest unsubscribes of any email I've sent out before that. And I'm like, I can say, hey, do this free class, bunch of unsubscribes. I can say, please subscribe. They're like, no, dude, we're good.
They also are being confronted by the teacher, and they're like, I'm gonna stay.
Yeah, so I think you got to make that pivot just boldly. People are like, how do I do it? I'm like, you just say it out your mouth, bro. Like, I'm not doing this anymore. And I think people will respect that. And if they appreciate your character, again, not just the fact that you can teach them how to get a job, they will follow you along. But if you're only a subject matter expert, which is why people have to stop doing all this how-to content, people will not go with you on that journey. If there's someone else who can say the exact same thing as you as well, so that there's no stickiness there.
This is also the antidote to AI as well, because we've been talking a lot, and at South by, there were a lot of panels and discussions around how AI is changing content creation. Knowledge creators, how are they going to move their courses and their digital products? And to me, the antidote to that is you have to be able to give your audience something they can't get from AI. And that's your story on resilience. That's my journey figuring out what fatherhood is, right? Your journey building your community. Like, these are specific stories that our audiences relate to us. Like, it's our lore, right? And so that's what you can't take away from AI, because I 100% agree with you on the how-to stuff. That is something where like information is become commoditized, right? People want the stories, they want the relatableness, they want the community, they want the access.
I want to kind of tap into that, and like, as you look at the next couple of years, because you all have chosen very different places to kind of build your audience or to focus on. If we're still thinking in that narrative of the 1,000 true fans, but the person who's going to grow with you, follow you throughout your career, be someone that still is invested in you in your 80s when you're still doing this. What are you thinking in the next 2 years as far as where you invest your time? As the For You page becomes like discovery really only, there are like Teachable, Patreon companies like this. We're trying to fill a gap below that, but what is the future of where you offer education to people beyond that top of funnel?
Yeah, I think that's, first of all, I think creators that don't have that question in the back or near the front of their head, they're going to lose market share, right? If you imagine over the best, like, it's something that it's the whole reason why I started my in-person community here in New York. And so I'm starting to do these in-person networking events. The community is called For the First. So it's for first-gen professionals, but also anyone who's just doing something new and different in terms of relative to their family or their community, right? I'm inviting them in. And so we've done a couple mixers that have been really, really successful. But I'm going to start, that'll be my platform to bring in experts and do panel sessions, or I may do a formal, like, it's how I'm going to work on my keynotes, right? If, can't get invited to events, I'll do my own, right? And so it's like, it can form all these different sort of things. And so I think 100%, like, one way I'm doing that is going from URL to IRL. But I think also creating opportunities like an email, like with digital communities, to create off-platform entryways so my community can interact with me. I think that's going to be...
I think you called it like building the table.
That's right.
Really like that.
Exactly. Yeah. If you want a seat at the table, you better be really damn good at building tables. Yeah.
I mean, very similarly to Colin, of course. I mean, we met in real life in my community. I mean, we just met here in real life, but the people that have talked about you, Terry, I've met in real life at my events and stuff. So it's like, I want to continue to invest in real life stuff, because it goes back to this human element, this connection element. That's where I thrive. Love meeting people in real life, love speaking in front of people, not necessarily a camera. The camera can be there, but I like to have a real audience, and also fostering those connections. And I think that there's something really great when 2 or 3 people meet at my events and then become like friends, or they collab or something. Like, I was able to be that touch point. Creator Economy MOC was able to be that touch point. And to me, that's really valuable and also leads into people being fans of what it is that I'm building or fans of myself. So investing in things that I guess go deeper. Newsletters. My newsletter is a definitely a core part of my business. Community and in real life stuff, whether it's bigger events or dinners, intimate stuff, and also like courses and digital products. I want people to be able to go deeper. Hey, we talked about this on a panel. We just had this conversation. What if I went really deep on that? And the people who care about that will maybe be the purchasers of that, or it's a free product. But also from a top of funnel standpoint, but still maintain that deepness. LinkedIn, I think, is a great place too, that you can still go deep. It has this weird element where it's a top of funnel, but also you can go deep. It's like, yeah, it's like a level below to an extent, which is why it's such a great place to actually be able to, the jump for people to go from following you on LinkedIn to maybe purchasing something from you, I think is a smaller leap than on another platform. And purchasing something that's deep, not like you're purchasing a t-shirt, like you're purchasing like a course or a ticket to an event or something like that. Those are like higher tier products that you're selling to an audience. So I'm focused on anything that is going to go deep and enable like sustainable career path in this space, because it's something I preach so much. I don't give a shit about virality. I am just focused on going deep and people playing the long game, and just having people have that mindset of like, no, it's going to take 3 years. It took me 3 years to be sitting in this chair, 4 years, 5 years, this whole decade really. And it's probably going to be the same for you if you want to grow sustainably and not be in perhaps the position where you're like, oh shit, well, I was just showing day in the life videos and now I quit my 9 to 5. So where am I at? It's like, well, you were going for the virality, you built a great audience. Now the next thing is, how do you keep sustainable with that? So.
I also agree that in real life, or you said URL, IRL, I'm going to steal it. Like I came up with it. But I like that a lot because...
That's floated around a lot. Yeah. It's a good one.
I did. It's going to be a topic at South by Southwest next year. But yeah, I mean, on my end, like selfishly, like what's the point of being 6'4" and jacked if you're not meeting people in person? Seriously, you know what I mean? Like, that's part of the brand.
Yeah, well, I mean, when I met you,
and that's also how I get speaking gigs. You know what I mean? So it's like that's the point. But when I go to in real life events, I want people to already know who I am to an extent already. So the online stuff does matter. Yes. And that way it's like, oh yeah, there's Terry, instead of like, you know, who's that guy creeping in the corner or whatnot. Yes. But
and people have already felt you a little bit.
Yeah.
Like you're on FaceTime or something where you've been texting them through your post and your newsletter and your books.
Yeah, they feel like they already know you. And that's the goal, right? Not to have to start from scratch. So that's why you build a brand. To your point, it's not about going viral. It's like the right people need to know who you are. But in regards to like just scaling a bit more, I mean, I know there's courses, there's newsletters, so on and so forth. I am looking at AI agents just because if I can put my knowledge, my coaching knowledge, my keynote knowledge and all that into a cool AI agent, then I can sell it in a subscription-based model. So that's the goal for this year. And there's some other things I want to do that can... Yeah, you know what I mean? Like because it's so like, again, with Teachable, like there have been times when I've made money playing soccer with my kids. And I'm not even good at soccer, you know what I mean? But it's like someone bought a course because I sent out an email. So it's like, I'm looking for ways to, yes, have a deep impact with people, especially in person, but in people who maybe can't access me in person or can't afford it, it's like, okay, here's this course, here's this AI agent, so on and so forth, and you're still helping these individuals.
I just went to a live show the other day, but was just sitting there as I'm thinking about AI, talking to people about AI. I'm at the show and I'm like, I don't think this is going away. Live music is not going away. Do you think you all are going to start touring, or like doing a way to scale is only to go to people where they are?
I mean, yeah, I guess so. Yeah. Like I never really thought about like going on tour necessarily, but yeah, maybe like road showy type of thing. 100%. I think that like people, like when I was going to Austin, Texas, were messaging me like, excited to meet you, in person, been following your stuff for so long. And that's like, whoa, like this thing is working. We're actually doing this thing. And then, people being like, oh, can you do what you've been doing in New York and bring it to LA? Or someone actually just messaged me like, hey, would you do Creator Economy Barcelona? I'm like, okay, holy crap. So it's like, maybe there is doing pop-ups or something like that where we take out the New York for a hot sec and we're in Barcelona for a bit. But I think that's only because I've been able to, one, showcase online to other people what we've been doing here in real life, and also just like maintain that consistency and that character element that we talk about so much. So yeah, like I think between all of us, we all like to speak in real life and stuff, and I think we all would love to value the fact that we go to like Missouri, or picking on Missouri today, but like people are there and want to hear from you, and that's really exciting.
What I'll say, and I'll give you another one, but I think like a big component for me this year has been like reach is the new resume, right? And so if you're using these platforms to distribute your ideas, your mindset, your habits, your goals, your relatability, your story, that can go as far and wide as it can, right? And so I would say like some of the DMs I've got have been incredible, from 18-year-olds in India to college students in London. I always, I get cool opportunities to go speak and go attend these events in these other cities, and I'll put it on my story, right? Sometimes I'm legally obligated to, but also I want people to know that I have motion and I'm out and about, right? And every single time I'll get a message of like, oh, how long are you in town? Do you have time for coffee? Do you have time to meet up? And so I've been incredibly surprised with the breadth that my content has gotten. And so, yeah, I think there are in the future when it feels right? Because it's one DM, so that means, can't have a meetup where there's one person there. But I think, yeah, there's definitely, I think for all creators, especially ones that are building real relationships with their audiences, I love that idea. And especially if you're doing things like, I've seen creators launch books or be a part of very large traditional media campaigns, right, that have come with incredible opportunities to be on red carpet, to do PR events, right? And so I think it's those two worlds are also starting to merge in really cool ways.
There was a prediction I did in the beginning of the year that was focused on this URL to IRL element, and I was basically like creators who were able to like fill a room with people when they go in real life or they're doing a meetup, have built something really strong and perhaps sustainable, where it's like, oh great, you have 1 million followers on YouTube, but if you're like, hey guys, I'm in LA or I'm in a major city and I'm doing a little meetup, are people there to show up for you? Do they care enough to want to see you in person? And I think that goes back to that intention element, that people are there to take action for you, that when you say, hey, I'm at this pizza place, will someone show up there? I think goes a really long way and something to think about.
Yeah, you have like 4 kids and a family. Like, are you planning to go be more in person with people?
It's funny like that you mentioned that, because I appreciate what you two are doing, because for some reason I get booked to speak more in California than I do in New York City. And I live in New York City. Can we just go to Queens? Yeah. Why am I going to Palm Springs? You know what I mean? So I love what you're doing. It's encouraging me to do more in-person events myself. To your point, if you're not getting invited for whatever reason, just create the table or whatever metaphor it is. But I'm going to start doing that more, because I think we're talking about the 1,000 true fans or whatever, and it's like I feel strongly that getting 10 people to go to a coffee shop in Queens is more impactful than getting 1,000 people to like your post, right? So it's like that in real life stuff. Brands are paying more for that too, because they want that interactive experience. They want the content for social media. You can do extremely well with that. You've obviously both mastered it, so I'm just sitting there taking notes.
Terry, Brett, and Colin are all incredible examples of creators who built businesses aligned with deeper purpose and values. By focusing on freedom, autonomy, and impact rather than just making money, they've created sustainable careers that bring them fulfillment and allow them to live lives they don't want to run away from. Their stories remind us that success as a creator isn't just about metrics, but about building a life and business that reflects who you are and provides the lifestyle you truly desire. Don't forget, this is part of a 3-part series, so you can watch the other 2 parts linked here or catch the full episode on our podcast linked in the description.